Well, good morning. It's great to be here at the Segundo Ruiz Belvis Center with so many champions who work each and every day to make Illinois an affordable and welcoming place to live for all people. I want to welcome our allies and our friends in the General Assembly, Senator Robert Peters, Leader Omar Aquino, Leader Delia Ramirez, Representative Lindsay LaPointe, Representative Will Guzzardi, Representative Teresa Ma. Let me also recognize my longtime friend, in fact, the longest time friend that I have in the room, I think, and that's Michelle Gilbert, the legal director at LCBH and the leader of the COVID-19 Eviction Prevention Project. Here on behalf of my administration, Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, Illinois Housing Development Authority Executive Director Kristen Faust, Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity Director Sylvia Garcia, and Illinois Department of Human Services Secretary Grace Ho. Last year, the Illinois Housing Development Authority designed, implemented, and launched one of the largest and most successful emergency housing assistance programs in the entire nation in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. We were the best in the nation at getting relief into the pockets of landlords and homeowners in 2020. By delivering assistance more efficiently and quickly, we were able to make the difference for our struggling residents when it mattered most. Between the emergency rental assistance and the emergency mortgage assistance programs, totaling more than $329 million, Illinois kept over 56,000 households safe and sheltered at home during the pandemic. That assistance reached over 36,000 renters here in the Chicago metropolitan area alone, including Nora Margarita Gallegos and her son Angel, here today to share their pandemic story. I want to thank the General Assembly, including the elected officials here today, for working with us to provide much needed relief to keep families in Illinois from losing their homes while the virus wreaked havoc on their lives. But I don't want anyone to forget that even before the pandemic, over 70% of extremely low-income families in Illinois were dedicating more than half of their income to rent. Then, in the face of the pandemic, many suddenly found they were being laid off, or their workplace was permanently closing, or they needed to stay home to care for children or immunocompromised family members. It was clear when we implemented last year's housing relief programs that the need was far greater than the dollars allocated to our state. Many of those here today worked very hard to send the message to Washington, D.C., that the financial damage the virus had brought was far from over. That's why I'm very pleased today to announce that Illinois is expanding rental relief to $1.5 billion, nearly 4 times the amount that was available last year. That's okay, you can applaud. That's a great thing to applaud. The Illinois Rental Payment Program will ensure more than 120,000 household renters see relief, with more renters potentially being touched in the future, too. Any eligible resident who rents their home, is behind on payments, and experienced financial hardship in the pandemic is eligible to apply for up to $25,000 in rental assistance paid directly to their housing provider or landlord. Rent assistance is only one piece of today's announcement. Later this summer, we'll provide an additional $400 million on top of the $1.5 billion for renters for mortgage assistance. That means struggling homeowners can get relief too. And that's not all. I'm also pleased to announce today that Illinois will be replenishing our utilities assistance programs, which include help with housing, utilities, and legal assistance. Secretary Ho and Director Garcia are here today to speak more about that in just a few moments. As a reminder, to date, more than 260,000 households have received $280 million in benefits through DCEO's utility assistance programs alone. And with additional funding available through those programs and the DHS counterparts, thousands more families will be able to seek access to relief. The COVID-19 Federal Emergency Rental Assistance Program Act, which was sponsored by House Leader Delia Ramirez and Senate Leader Omar Aquino, is just an amazing development for the people of Illinois, and it could not have succeeded without its other champions, the Legislative Latino Caucus, Senator Robert Peters, and Representative Lindsay LaPointe. This program ensures that funding is distributed in an equitable manner, reaching those who need it most. I'm very proud to sign this bill today. This legislation, once again, makes Illinois a leader in the nation by offering residential eviction ceiling protections to last until August 1st of 2022. I'd like to ask the media to help spread the word. Renters in need of assistance can go online and apply right now at illinoishousinghelp.org. I'm going to repeat that, illinoishousinghelp.org. The program has a maximum income limit for applicants of 80% of the area median income, which will be reflective of their household size. Rental assistance payments will be made directly to landlords. In line with our recovery and with this massive new round of assistance, we will work with our partners to bring an end to the eviction moratorium in August with a gradual phase out over the next few months, with more details to come. The Illinois Rental Assistance Program is a testament to how good government can make a life-changing difference for people when our dollars follow our values. This program expansion will allow us to take that impact to new heights for tens of thousands of Illinoisans. So now it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to Nora and Angel, who will share their experience with the rental assistance program. Nora?
Buenos días. Mi nombre es Nora Gallegos. Soy originaria de Michoacán. Vivo en el barrio de las Empacadoras desde hace 13 años. Tengo 4 hijos y viviendo con mis 4 hijos y mi esposo. Cuando empezó la pandemia estaba confundida. No sabía qué hacer, ya que mi pareja perdió automáticamente su trabajo. Nos atrasamos con la renta y con los biles. No sabía cómo íbamos a pagar. Tenía miedo que mi familia acabara viviendo en la calle, pero gracias al programa de prevención de desalojos logré saldar mi deuda. Hice mi solicitud con Proyecto Resurrección y ellos me supieron guiar, ya que tenía dudas de poder recibir ayuda por mi estatus migratorio. Hoy estoy aquí porque me alentó a compartir mi historia para que mi hijo me alentó. Perdón, estoy nerviosa. Hoy estoy aquí porque mi hijo me alentó a compartir mi historia, para que otras familias como la mía no tengan miedo y se acerquen con organizaciones para recibir ayuda. Yo decidí entrenarme ahora como promotora de prevención de desalojos con Proyecto Resurrección. Estaré dando información en mi comunidad para asegurarme de que la gente no tenga miedo, ya que somos muchos los hispanos que tenemos miedo por nuestra situación migratoria y tendemos a decir que no podemos recibir ayudas. Y son muchas gente las que tienen deudas, están tienen muchas deudas con el desalojo. Yo he platicado con familias a las que están a punto de desalojar, pero ellas tienen miedo a pedir ayuda, a sentirse carga pública, como a veces decía el presidente, que él no quería carga pública, que no quería, que nosotros los hispanos éramos carga pública para él. Entonces hay mucha gente que tiene miedo, hay mucha gente que por miedo a que llegue la policía o que les hagan algo, no quieren pedir ayuda, se muestran temerosas. A través de la pandemia mucha gente quedó sin trabajo. Y es muy dura la situación que estamos pasando. Es todo lo que quiero decir. Gracias.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, and I want to thank you, Nora, for the introduction and for sharing your story. Thank you, Governor Pritzker, for your compassionate and visionary leadership. A day like today is just another example of your dedicated commitment to lifting up every community in our state. It is awesome to be here today with so many strong advocates for housing justice, which the governor has already acknowledged. And in the interest of time, I'll just say thank you for your leadership. It's always an honor to do this work alongside of you. I do, of course, want to acknowledge my friends and former colleagues of the Illinois General Assembly, especially lifting up the chief sponsors of House Bill 2877, Leader Delia Ramirez and Leader Omar Aquino, as well as champions Senator Robert Peters and Representative Lindsay LaPointe. You listened to the urgent pleas of residents during this pandemic, and you put what you heard into action. And now the Illinois Rental Payment Program is the law of the land in Illinois. Thank you for your powerful advocacy. I'm especially proud of all of the members of the Illinois Legislative Latino Caucus who continue to diligently pursue justice, equity, and opportunity for all Illinoisans. And thank you to the Segundo Ruiz Belvis Cultural Center for hosting us today, and congratulations on 50 years of promoting Afro-Latin arts and culture here in Chicago. Do you know where you will sleep tonight? Many people don't. And the people who don't live in our cities, suburbs, and rural areas too. And yes, housing is about shelter, but it is about so much more than just having a roof over your head. Housing is about feeling safe. It's about being able to meet the needs of your children. Housing is about feeling settled. It's about building community and having a home base. Housing is health care. And we saw this throughout the pandemic. Because of COVID-19, life changed. Jobs disappeared. Childcare was not as readily available. People were forced to pivot to try to find a way to pay rent and mortgages while struggling with the stress of keeping themselves and their family members safe. And sometimes the money just wasn't there. So many, all across the state and disproportionately in communities of color, told us, we're just trying to make it. Well, we're here today because we don't just want you to just make it, we want you to thrive. And that starts with having a roof over your head. And thanks to federal funding and the signing of House Bill 2877 into law, more families will be able to do just that. Now, others will speak in detail about who can apply and how, but we cannot underestimate the importance of today's bill signing. Housing stability leads to family and community stability. And as I said, housing is health care. Being housing insecure takes an enormous toll on not just one's physical health, but also on one's mental health. And it's not just the adults who are affected, but the children. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So there is no better time to let Illinois families know that relief is here for the stress and anxiety of facing an eviction in the midst of a global pandemic. You deserve to be safe, and you deserve to be your healthiest selves. And I urge all eligible Illinoisans to apply for up to $25,000 of rental assistance and soon mortgage assistance by going to IllinoisHousingHelp.org. Thank you again, Leader Ramirez and Leader Aquino and members of the General Assembly, especially the Legislative Latino Caucus, and thank you, Governor Pritzker, for signing this bill into law. It is now my pleasure to introduce Kristen Faust, Executive Director of the Illinois Housing Development Authority. Kristen?
On behalf of the Illinois Housing Development Authority Board and staff, I'd like to thank Governor Pritzker, Lieutenant Governor Stratton, members of the General Assembly, staff and leaders in St. Clair, Kane, Will, and DuPage counties, and our elected officials in Washington, D.C. for making this emergency rental assistance program possible. The economy is improving, but many families continue to face financial hardship due to the pandemic. According to the latest Household Pulse survey, we have over 300,000 renters in Illinois who still are not sure how they will pay next month's rent. And to make matters worse, communities have colorfully suffered the health and economic hardships of the pandemic, increasing housing insecurity, and not allow the recovery to leave anyone behind as we work to create an Illinois that truly serves all of its people. Fair and equitable access to rental assistance is critical to keeping our most vulnerable families stably housed. And that's why for the past several months, IDA has been working tirelessly to develop a program that fairly and effectively reaches Illinois renters hardest hit by COVID. Beginning today, you've already landlords and tenants can apply jointly. It starts with the landlords for rental assistance. Find the application at IllinoisHousingHelp.org. The program is available to renters in all 102 Illinois counties, and it offers up to 15 months of rental assistance going all the way back to June 2020 and going forward to August 21. And this assistance is a grant. It does not need to be repaid. So to the advocates and elected officials and others who provided so much feedback and input so that we can really roll this program out successfully, we heard you. To ensure the program operates with a framework of equity, inclusion, and transparency, you don't actually need an official lease to apply. You do have to have been impacted financially by COVID and be behind in rent, but applicants will have the opportunity to check the status of their application online. If a tenant has an unresponsive landlord, there's going to be a separate route for the tenant to apply. And finally, it's really important to know that this program, this assistance, is available to all eligible renters in Illinois, regardless of immigration status. ILRPP assistance is not a public charge benefit. The application portal is open now. It's going for 4 weeks. Well, it starts with the landlord. Start gathering your information. And we would like you to apply as soon as possible. We've actually are working with 60 nonprofit organizations across the state to help you if you as a tenant or a landlord need help with the application. This help is completely free, and you can find a list of those organizations on the IDA website. The economic fallout caused by COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted the fundamental role of housing in keeping families safe, stable, and healthy. Governor Pritzker has been clear that every action we take to persevere through this crisis and beyond it must include doing all that we can to create a more just and equitable state where there's opportunity for everyone. I want to close today by saying help is here for Illinois renters, and we will work hard to distribute the funds as quickly as possible. Please remember, visit IllinoisHousingHelp.org to get started. And thank you, and I'd now like to bring up our partner agency Secretary Grace Ho.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Governor, Lieutenant Governor, Director Faust, members of the General Assembly, for your leadership and unwavering commitment to keeping Illinois residents safe and sound. We have been able to protect and accomplish a great deal these past 2 years, especially this past year during the pandemic, and it is due to your collective and extraordinary commitment to health and human services. I'm so happy to be here this morning to lift up the array of programs that the state of Illinois has woven together to help residents in this community stay in their homes. We know that our immigrant and refugee communities have experienced great hardships due to COVID-19, and we also know that many community members go to welcoming centers and other community organizations when they need help. The state of Illinois, our department, the Illinois Department of Human Services, has made significant targeted investments to grassroots partners to support community members in a variety of ways. Today, in partnership with IDA's Illinois Rental Payment Program, DHS is extending and expanding upon our existing investments through Illinois Department of Human Services Housing Help Program. We want you to know that help is here. And in addition to rental financial assistance, residents can access case management, financial counseling, and other housing stability services to support people to stay in their homes. In addition, we have created legal assistance services to educate individuals and families to provide legal representation also if they need it. Working with local partners, including the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant Refugee Rights, Rincon Family Services, and Logan Square Neighborhood Associations. These partners are pillars in this community who are proudly serving in partnership with us, as well as dozens of other community organizations across the state. This neighborhood has felt the deep impacts of COVID-19, as this has been one of the top 3 COVID hotspots during the pandemic, and we have worked hard to meet families where they are and with what they need. And we can only do this in partnership with community-based organizations, trusted partners, and trusted leaders to offer financial help with rental assistance, utilities, and legal aid to address immediate as well as long-term housing instability and homelessness. If you or someone you know needs help, you can find resources in a community near you, again, at illinoishousinghelp.org. We are committed to equitable policies and practices that focus on those who are most impacted by COVID-19 and to the communities most vulnerable to experiencing homelessness. I am so grateful for the chance to collaborate with our sister agencies, IDA and DCEO, on this extraordinary effort, and I'm so proud to carry out Governor Pritzker's charge to bring this opportunity to the residents of all Illinoisans. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Director of the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, Director Sylvia Garcia. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Ho. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sylvia Garcia, Acting Director of the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, or DCO. I'm very glad to be here today joining Governor Pritzker, Lieutenant Governor Stratton, and members of the General Assembly, along with my colleagues from the Illinois Department of Human Services, the Housing Development Agency, and others that are supportive of this great initiative here today. I'm excited to be here at the Segundo Ruiz Belvis Cultural Center that has such a great history of celebrating our rich history here in Chicago, but also the Afro-Latino culture across the world. We're very excited to help launch another program that helps Illinois families get back on their feet. From the start of this crisis, the Pritzker administration has worked to deliver a swift and essential response for our communities, with the governor asking state departments to find the best ways to deliver relief for the people and the places facing the biggest burdens. As our state worked to get the pandemic under control and reopen the economy, we at DCO provided over $1 billion in assistance for businesses, local governments, and individual families. A focus on urgency and equity has been paramount in our efforts to respond, with a goal of broadening access to emergency relief dollars to help prevent the most vulnerable from facing an economic catastrophe. Today, we're proud to provide an update on one of these programs, which has provided a significant amount of relief for hundreds of thousands of Illinoisans to date. The governor's Help Illinois Families program paired state resources with federal stimulus funds to quickly bring forward a historic level of assistance delivered to low-income families. Since launching just shy of a year ago, we have delivered a total of $280 million in LIHEAP and CSPG funds to over 300,000 unique households across the state. Compared to previous years, this reflects a 35% increase in low-income home energy assistance program, or LIHEAP, customers statewide who received funding to offset the cost of their monthly bills for utilities and other expenses like heating and electric. In addition, we've seen a 58% increase in community service block grant services, which also provide additional rental assistance and other forms of household relief provided to families in need. These programs have been a great bridge while we waited for programs like the emergency rental relief that we're talking about today and other housing assistance. In creating the Help Illinois Families program, we sought to accomplish a few key goals. 1, get funding out to more people in need. 2, expand funding amounts available. And 3, make it easier for people to access these funds remotely during the pandemic. I'm proud to report that after launching a successful expansion of the LIHEAP program last year, we look to do even more. Late last month, we rolled out the Utility Disconnection Avoidance Program, or UDAP, a collaboration with Illinois' major regulated utility companies focused on preventing low-income families from being disconnected from service simply due to a lack of ability to pay. What started out as a program to help 80,000 families has expanded to a $115 million program serving over 115,000 households within just 3 weeks. What's more, additional funds remain available, and they're available to low-income utility customers regardless of their history in the LIHEAP program. If your family is making less than 200% of the federal poverty level, you could be eligible for these funds. We currently have $30 million available for this program year, which ends at the end of this month. So let me say that one more time. We've got $30 million that we need to distribute by the end of May. So if you're interested, please know that it's not too late. Simply contact your local community action agency or go to helpillinoisfamilies.com. There's also a link on the other website that everyone's been mentioning, but ours is helpillinoisfamilies.com. So please go there today if you need utility assistance this year. I want to thank our DCO Office of Community Assistance and our partners at 35 community action agencies across the state, without whom this work could not have been possible. Our partners at the community action agencies have been instrumental not only in rolling out new programming, but scaling services quickly to reach as many people as possible. Together, our team stood up a remote application helping residents gain access in over 30 languages, and it's available through a new hotline as well. Last but not least, we adapted the LIHEAP application to accept ITIN numbers in addition to Social Security numbers, so Illinois residents, regardless of immigration status, can qualify for assistance for the first time ever. We know even with more workers returning to work each day, the effects of the crisis are long-lasting and are impacting our most vulnerable communities across the state. So as we pivot our efforts from economic response to economic recovery, LIHEAP, the Illinois Rental Payment Program, and other safety net programs will be essential for families facing difficult times and will remain a continued part of our economic recovery strategy. Thank you again for the opportunity to be here. I'm now happy to turn it over to Representative Ramirez to say a few words. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. It's been 3 years since I was here, actually on that stage, thanking every single person that pushed me to run for office. That said to me, we need someone to really fight for housing, because in the 4th District, every single day, more and more people are being pushed out. More and more people are confronted with the rent being doubled, their taxes may be too high, and the difficulty to be able to keep their home. As I stand before you today as the state representative of the 4th House District, Delia Ramirez, in case I forgot to say that with my nervousness, I want to personally welcome you to this district, to my home district. Over a year ago, where were we? Some of us were on Facebook, on social media, watching every single post coming through, watching the news, emailing, FaceTiming our family members, and wondering if they were okay. Some of you were already experiencing all the bad of the baddest of COVID-19. And during those early days of the pandemic, I became deeply concerned with the housing instability that would be caused by this crisis. I knew that many people were already experiencing serious housing insecurity and were at risk of homelessness, and that economic stability caused by COVID-19 would only make it worse. For many, leave them in the street experiencing homelessness. This is why last spring I filed an emergency housing bill to address the housing crisis caused by this pandemic. I wanted to make sure that as we were asking people to shelter in place and to stay home to stop the spread of the virus, that people were able to actually stay at home and keep their homes. Passing this legislation has been my #1 priority. Trust me, ask all my colleagues, they know, over the last year. And after thorough debate and negotiations with housing stakeholders from across the state, I am glad to be standing with you today as our emergency housing assistance legislation is being signed into law. This legislation is a critical first step to averting a housing crisis. The provisions in this bill will ensure that the federal rental assistance is administered effectively and efficiently while targeting those most in need. This bill provides protections to those at risk of eviction and relief to homeowners and renters at risk of losing their homes. This bill automatically seals every eviction starting March of 2020 through March of 2022, giving thousands of families who've gone through the worst of the worst, who've lost a leaseholder to COVID, who've lost a mother, a sister, a niece, to families who are still struggling with the effects and the post-trauma from COVID, a clean slate. I want to express my deepest gratitude to the broad coalition of community and housing advocates who have worked by my side through May, June, July, August, September, October, Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, January, and until this moment in championing this legislation. I want to especially thank Shriver Center on Poverty Law, Housing Action Illinois, Bob Palmer's here, and the Lawyers Committee for Better Housing. I'd also like to thank our congressional delegation for their leadership in fighting to secure the hundreds of millions of dollars that are coming to our state, specifically for housing assistance. I have to thank my colleagues, especially my chief co-sponsor, Rep. LaPointe, who is right there, our housing chairman, Representative Gazzardi, the Black Caucus that in January worked the roll call with me, making sure that we were getting every possible vote to be able to move this legislation. And Speaker Welch, who persistently has championed housing and this legislation over the last year. Finally, I want to thank Governor Pritzker for signing this bill today. But also I want to thank you for your leadership over the past year. Throughout this pandemic, you have led on the issue by taking action through executive order to make sure that people would be able to stay in their homes during the peak of this pandemic and as we entered into recovery. Thank you. Can you imagine not knowing where you're going to sleep at night and that COVID is spreading into your building, at work, and you have no place to live because we don't have enough shelters available? Your leadership has literally saved lives. Thank you. I believe housing is a human right. While we have more work to do, this bill and the Emergency Rental Assistance Program being launched today are a critical step in affirming this right to Illinoisans. Así que a toda la gente, to all people who right now are trying to figure out, do I pay for my rent or do I buy my diabetes medication? Do I pay for my mortgage or do I pay for my utilities? We are asking you, inviting you to apply for the assistance we have available today. Por favor, apliquen para asistencia. Es de ustedes, es para ustedes. Estamos aquí para ayudarlos, para asegurarnos que nadie tenga que estar en la calle mientras recuperamos de esta pandemia. Thank you so much. And with that, I have to bring up as well my partner in this work, Senator Aquino.
think the CDC has said that that's okay to do. So I had to give my partner in crime, Leader Ramirez, a hug because I know the work that you have put in for housing in this particular bill, the effort that you have done and the advocates. And so I want to first and foremost start out by thanking mi tocayo, Omar, the executive director here at Segundo Ruiz Belvis. This is an amazing place. And while we are still coming out of this pandemic, we have to remember that the arts has an important place in our society, and they helped us get through the pandemic, and certainly they're going to help us heal. And I know that this place here, Segundo Ruiz Belvis, is going to be a place that certainly is going to help us heal in this community. We are all in Hermosa, an amazing community that I called home many years ago, but during this last year of the Coven pandemic, Hermosa and nearby Belmont-Cragen were some of the hardest hit communities due to COVID. We saw people die. We saw people that were bravely going to work, masked or not, because they didn't know, we didn't really know what was happening. We saw a lot of resilience in this community. And as this community is called Hermosa, beautiful, today is a beautiful day, a day to celebrate. A day not only because a bill that Leader Ramirez has worked on for a while and advocates that for over a year to make sure that people that were suffering through COVID had a place to call home, but also because of the rental assistance that we are announcing, or the governor is announcing today, over $1 billion of assistance that can shed some hope, some help and hope that we have been desperately been looking for. And I want to echo what Leader Ramirez said. Governor, I am proud to call Illinois my home. I'm proud to call you my governor. You and Lieutenant Governor Stratton and your entire team, all the directors and everyone that works for you, you all have definitely saved some lives. So I want to thank you for that. I want to share a little story of where we are today from where we were just a few months ago. The advocates with Leader Ramirez and many of our colleagues worked on this bill for a number of months, and we thought we were very close in achieving this and getting this done in veto session earlier this year in January. And the story is that we had our last day, the last evening before session ended. In the Senate, we pulled an all-nighter. I hadn't done that since college, but literally got back to my hotel room around 6-something in the morning, got to knock out for a little bit, and I get a call that morning about barely an hour later. And I thought it was my alarm clock, and it was Leader Ramirez on the line, and I was still groggy, and she's like, Omar, what's going to happen to my bill? What's going to happen to the bill? What's going to happen to housing? And I was, I was delirious, and I'm like, I don't understand it. And she started explaining to me how they had just passed it over, and and concern for the families in our communities of that they wouldn't have this assistance. And unfortunately, time ran out. We couldn't do it then. However, today, I'm standing here, and we're here together because of your resilience, because of your passion, and your unwillingness to say no and to give up. So while there's a lot of people that we have to credit, I have to thank you, because there are going to be many, many families that are going to stay together, that are going to be able to stay in their homes, no matter where that's at in the state of Illinois, and have some hope and comfort. During the debate on the floor, I was kind of questioning what this bill was. I got a lot of questions from the other side, if this was an urban thing, or who was going to benefit from this. And I wanted to remind my colleagues all throughout the state of Illinois that what this law, which is going to be signed into law, to this bill, who this helps. If you know someone that has dealt with homelessness at some point in their life, this bill helps them. If you know someone that has dealt with COVID and their communities has been absolutely ravaged by COVID in their communities, which we know that's throughout the entire state, this bill helps them. If you know someone that cannot afford their rent, not because of anything that they did, but because we're living in a global pandemic that unfortunately has been impacting disproportionately in many communities of color and those that cannot afford it already, this bill helps you. Hoy un día hermoso. It's a beautiful day. The governor's going to sign this bill, and a lot of people are going to get help. But more importantly, people need to go online, make sure that they're applying for rental assistance so that those public dollars, your dollars, are going back into your communities, and we're saving people's homes, people's families. I want to thank you all. No, I have to, apologies. I do have to introduce my good colleague, Senator Peters. And no, this is very serious. Senator Peters is the chair of the Black Caucus in the Senate, and his leadership and the Black Caucus's leadership has to be noted. We would not be here today if it wasn't for the collaboration and the intense work that this man puts in and day out in Springfield and to the Black Caucus. So, Senator Peters.
Good morning. I'm State Senator Robert Peters of the 13th District, located along Chicago's South Lakefront, stretching from downtown along the lake to the Indiana border. I want to thank Governor Pritzker for signing this critical housing legislation. Thank you, Governor. I want to thank Lieutenant Governor Stratton, Leader Aquino, Leader Delia Ramirez for ushering this through the legislature. And I want to thank the advocates for defending the needs of our communities and fighting so hard to make this happen. No family should have to worry about losing a roof over their head, especially while in a pandemic. The steps taken today will help ensure working class individuals and families, as well as small landlords, receive fair and equitable access to the rental assistances, services, and protections they desperately need. This is personal to me because I grew up with a mom who was an alcoholic, who suffered with mental health issues, and died with $300,000 of housing debt because she was desperate to keep a roof over her head. This is personal to me because of the calls that my office received from so many constituents worried about the roof over their head during a pandemic, worried about the stability they need during this period, worried about their present and their future. At the end of the day, we often talk about how things are unsafe or safe when it comes to the state of Illinois, when it comes to Chicago. But let's be clear. When we talk about safety and justice, when we talk about dignity, we are talking about a roof over your head. You take that away from somebody, you put them in a terrible situation. We can talk about locking people up and throwing away the key, and that won't do anything to improve people's lives. But legislation like this will. It sets stability for a young person in a time of need. It tells somebody during that period where they're between jobs or struggling that they have comfort with that roof over their head. They have a bed to sleep on. They can dream the dreams that they deserve, that the nightmare can calm. To me, as we move away from 40 years of tough policies that haven't done anything to keep us safe, this is the right pathway to that security, that dignity that everybody deserves. Whether you live on the south side of Chicago or the northwest side of Chicago, whether you live downstate or you live in northern Illinois, no matter where you live in the state of Illinois, you deserve to have dignity in your home. You deserve to have a home. I'm sick and tired of the BS that I've been hearing over and over again about the struggles people are in. This is the pathway to getting out of that struggle. The last year has been a period of three crises: a public health crisis, an economic crisis, and a crisis particularly when it comes to systemic racism. These crises aren't new. I say this all the time. If anybody's heard it, it's almost boring at this point. We know where these crises come from. This is our pathway out of crisis. This is our pathway to thrive. This is giving families the security they need. This is a model of what it means to have an intersectional piece of legislation. It's black, brown, white, it's working class, it's lifting up our communities no matter their zip code, no matter who you are. This is a great day for the state of Illinois, and I want to again thank Governor Pritzker, Lieutenant Governor Stratton, Leader Aquino, and definitely Leader Ramirez, who pushed and grind through. So next up to speak is Representative Lindsay LaPointe. Thank you.
Good morning. I am so happy to be here today with a full team of people that made this bill happen and is making this bill into law. These are the types of days that this is the why. This is the why that many of us run for office, and people like me and people like Leader Delia Ramirez, who came from the human service world, who have sat in church basements and in community organizations working one-on-one with families, hitting those barriers of programs like rental assistance and being able to change how those programs run. These are the exact reasons that we run for office. When the COVID-19 pandemic first hit, we all asked people to stay home and stay safe. But then we also had to ask the question, what are we actually doing to protect people who don't have homes, or our neighbors who are just barely hanging on, living with the specter of homelessness hanging over their heads? And the answer to that question is we weren't doing enough, especially in the legislature. But today we're beginning to offer new effective answers to that very question. With this bill that we are making law today, the COVID-19 Emergency Housing Act, this new law will help us make sure that the federal housing dollars that are being sent to Illinois flow quickly and efficiently to get beyond those bureaucratic barriers to the people that need it the most in every corner of Illinois. This law will also provide relief for small landlords, both by providing the rental assistance and by pausing foreclosure. Part of this bill is about making sure small landlords are made whole. And as we've heard, this bill seals eviction records to make sure that people whose lives and livelihoods were overturned by the pandemic will not be left out in the cold, literally out in the cold, because they fell behind during what is the biggest crisis of all of our lifetimes. I am so proud of the way that we put this bill together under the very tenacious and compassionate leadership of now Leader Delia Ramirez and Senator Omar Aquino. It reflects so many conversations with housing advocates, property owners, realtors, people in the financial sector, and of course, individuals and families who have been rocked by housing instability before and after this pandemic. This new law shows exactly how much we can accomplish when we actually bring people together to craft new policies that will create benefits throughout our communities, not just today, but for years to come. I want to thank Governor Pritzker for being a true leader during this entire pandemic. We've heard it from others today. You have saved lives, no doubt. I also want to thank you for moving quickly to sign this bill into law. The people of Illinois have already suffered through multiple crises caused by COVID-19. Now that we are finally beginning to see that light at the end of the tunnel, I am so proud of the state of Illinois on taking this big step to help thousands of people keep a roof over their heads as we work together to not only recover, but truly rebuild. I know I'm one of the last speakers, and I am so honored that I get to introduce Michelle Gilbert, who is the legal director at Lawyers Committee for Better Housing. The advocates like the Shriver Center, like Housing Action Illinois, like the Lawyers Committee are the true engine of this law, along with Leader Ramirez and Senator Aquino. A lot of late nights, a lot of meetings, and I'm so pleased that you get to hear from Michelle.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank Governor Pritzker and his administration for the eviction moratorium that has been in place, that, as many have already noted, have kept Illinoisans housed and has saved lives. Of course, I'd like to thank Leader Ramirez, Leader Aquino for championing this legislation and other housing legislation. You know, this is a pretty unusual day for me. I usually am talking to individual tenants and sometimes individual landlords. And I guess if I were talking to them right now, I would say, I know it has been a hard year for you. People have lost their jobs. People had to quit their jobs because they needed to educate their children at home. People have been afraid that they couldn't pay their rent. Landlords have been afraid that they wouldn't be able to pay their mortgage because rent wasn't coming in. And I know because of this stress, there have been landlords and tenants who haven't been talking. But today is the day that that has to change. Landlords and tenants need to work together, make these rental assistance applications, and that's the way forward. Because this rental assistance is the way that we prevent a housing crisis, prevent a mortgage foreclosure crisis, prevent a credit crisis that will prevent people 7 years in the future from being able to buy a home. Today is when it starts to turn around that potential crisis. And if it's hard to do that, if you're a tenant who hasn't talked to your landlord because you know you can't pay rent, or if you're a landlord who's been too angry at your tenant to talk to him, today is the day, and there is legal aid and there is mediation through the state, through the county, through the city of Chicago. Legal services and mediation services are funded, free legal aid for both landlords and tenants. Make a call and put in your application today, because today is the day it's going to change. Thank you. And I don't get to introduce anyone.
Well, as many others have said here today, this is really a momentous day for so many people across the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois. Help is on the way for tens of thousands of people. And I want to once again thank the leaders in the House and Senate who brought this legislation forward, who worked meticulously and diligently to get it passed. And today we celebrate something truly momentous. So with that, I'm happy to take questions from members of the media. Good morning. Sure. So the federal government, through the American Rescue Plan, created housing assistance, and that housing assistance, each state is receiving a large grant from the ARP, the American Rescue Plan. We announcing today $1.5 billion that the state of Illinois is receiving specifically for these purposes, and the General Assembly has helped to allocate, just as we did last year, I might add, in the fall and in the late or the early winter rather, housing assistance, rental assistance, and mortgage assistance. This is new assistance that's come in since the ARP was passed, and the General Assembly has helped to shape that program, and that's what we're announcing today. It is. You're welcome. I think you're up.
All right, great. On the masking, your executive order still stands?
Mm-hmm.
What's your plan?
We're working on making changes to our mask mandate in the state to meet the CDC's new masking guidance that they gave late last week. So we'll be announcing those changes shortly. It just takes a little bit of time to work through.
Are you still wearing your mask outside? What have you decided?
You know, it's funny you should ask. I think this morning it was the first time that I came out of my home not wearing my mask immediately. There's nobody that was standing there nearby, and so I felt comfortable doing that. I am trying to be careful when I'm in large crowds. You saw that I was wearing my mask seated. I think standing at the podium with the kind of distance that we have, it seems appropriate not to wear one. You've seen me do that before as well. And I'm going to take it, gently and carefully going forward. But I do think that the CDC's guidelines are good ones and that we will follow them here in the state of Illinois.
And for students and camps this summer, will you be offering guidance? Can you give us any indication?
Yes, going forward, we're going to, especially for those who are unvaccinated, and I want to point out, especially for adults who are unvaccinated, one of the reasons that the CDC issued the rules as they did was the recognition that studies have now been done showing that if you're vaccinated, you're protected. If you're unvaccinated, you are not protected. So I encourage people who are unvaccinated still to wear their mask, but to go get vaccinated, because I think we all want to get past this. We all would like to take off our masks, but we do need those who are unvaccinated to go get vaccinated. They can do that right now, today. It is available. You don't need to sign up for an appointment if you don't want to. You can show up at a number of sites and just get vaccinated.
How will we know who is? Should we be carrying our card, our vaccination card with us?
That's going to be up to private businesses and to individuals if they want to carry something like that with them. The state will provide the data and information for private solutions for that. If people want to use something like that, there's no requirement, however. We are relying upon people to do the right thing. We are relying upon people to recognize that they don't want to infect other unvaccinated people, and they don't themselves want to get sick. And so it's important for people to protect themselves, and I think there's a real motivation for people to go get vaccinated as a result.
People are. So that's unfortunate. But will there be ramifications for those who do die?
No, I think I want to remind you that everybody that is vaccinated, it appears that the studies show that you're protected, that people who are unvaccinated are not protected. And again, there should be real motivation by those who are unvaccinated to wear a mask and to get vaccinated. We're not going to stop people and, start checking a vaccine passport as part of some state mandate.
Do you anticipate this order today, tomorrow? I mean, a lot of states have looked at them already.
Yeah, no, we're moving forward. I mean, I think we're, as fast as we can, we're trying to make the changes. As you know, we have a disaster proclamation that needs to be altered. There is a J-car rule that needs to be rescinded. There are just a variety of things. It's been a complicated, 14, 15, 16 months of putting in place a mask mandate and making sure that people are following it. And now, obviously, we're working on unwinding it in an appropriate fashion.
Governor Pritzker, where were you this weekend?
Hi.
Because 30 other governors, even Democratic governors, when they heard the news, they wanted their people to know right away what the new rules were. Because there were some fights at Walmart that we know in Illinois, and at churches, because people said, well, I'm vaccinated, I can take my mask off. This is a reward
Yep.
for getting the vaccine. So will we know something by the end of this week?
Well, I was pretty clear. We're going to follow the CDC guidelines. So if you can read the CDC guidelines, you know what we will be doing in the state of Illinois. I said that last week. I think you were actually at one of the press conferences that I gave that answer in.
Can I ask you about the map, the redistricting? There are some
Sure.
reports of it being out. Of course, it's all been done in secret. What are your thoughts on what this map looks like to you?
Well, the one that was reported on is not one that I'm aware of that was done by anybody in the state of Illinois. I think it was reported actually early this morning that it was done by somebody maybe in Washington, D.C., who was trying to, look at a map that would preserve certain seats or whatever. That's not something that's been worked on here. I have not seen the map that the General Assembly has worked on, but expect to in reasonably short order.
Just one more, school choice. Where do you stand on this program that was worked on so hard 4 years ago? Do you think that school choice, those scholarships are going to go away for private schools?
Oh, I don't want scholarships to go away at all. What we're trying to do, two things. One is we introduced a budget that was balanced in a pandemic, and one of the changes that we proposed making was to rely upon federal tax benefits and tax deductions rather than state tax credits. It's less expensive for the taxpayers of Illinois if we do it that way. So that's one of the reasons for the change that got proposed. I'm willing to listen to anybody that wants to propose putting that back. I just want to know how you're going to pay for it. Thank you.